Yeah, sorry I'm late for work. This is the equivalent of early Friday for Birmingham's court office, probably because the managing director can't be seen. So we confirmed on, pardon me, the previous weekend that Birmingham has been Sovietised. So we worked out you can make senior members of the organisation vanish like Pooch and the Simpsons. So if I take a shot at them, right, I've got my rifle, I go bang through a computer screen, with sufficient force they vanish into the ether. So a disgusting fat pig called Joanne Roney managed to dematerialise in front of the entire city of Birmingham after she got caught doing a theatre performance. So she did a theatre performance, looked me in the eye, and on her way out the door, and I wrote to her and said, I'm not convinced by any of this, dummy. We see exactly what you're doing, we see this as a theatre performance, here's what you're doing, here's why it's dangerous, and here's why you should be going to prison. So if your court staff send you stuff like this, you should probably respond to it, especially if they're giving you a deadline. So if the deadline is Samhain, the Celtic festival of the dead, effectively, then the Celts have a habit of blowing up buildings in Birmingham when we're not happy. So you would have thought responding to something like that kind of stuff would be sensible. Instead, what the woman does is go and fetch another sort of meaningless cretin who she pays money, who again gets hold of corporate communications and just promotes the nonsense. Close to 6 years after Craig Scriven was caught doing the same thing, after the whistleblowing outlet had to be changed to try and keep people away from directors, she's still carrying on behaving in this manner. If members of a political party are deliberately encouraging an invasion of the country to maintain a power bloc, then at any time in history there'll be one way to deal with these people, which will be killing them. So the British, of course, were effectively a very sort of murderous island full of eugenicists. So if you committed a crime, we'd just kill you. The penalty for various forms of petty crime over the course of British history was commonly death, because we worked out that people who are more willing to be outside of society are doing that, I think, because of some kind of impulse, and you can try and elevate people, but in some cases people are just temperamentally wired to A, be disagreeable, but it's more than disagreeable, it's hostile. So you're looking for, again, low evolved primates who are just part of some kind of corrupt primate hierarchy who can't be reasoned with and just want money. And of course, to have an organisation running correctly, you've got to get rid of them. Because of the technology, you found in public bodies post-2020 that you couldn't remove people because the technology has been feminised. So you've got these formerly large buildings full of thousands of people. The thousands of people now confined to their laptops, and in a compliance department that deals with seriously violent men, you're expected to defer to women who are not going to put their bodies on the line and not capable of doing so, not interested in that kind of affair. They're interested in sort of talking to people and doing casework, but because there's no authority then, the department is totally broken down. So nobody has any authority. Case standards actually collapsed because there's no one saying, well, okay, you can talk to someone fine, but you can't actually tease out what the problem is. So you can have a light and breezy conversation, but if the conversation is loan sharks or people who are seriously vulnerable in other ways, and you can't speak to them and get that kind of information out of them, then you can't actually do your job. You can't actually be in that department if you can't engage with humans, find out what their problems are and try and fix them, which I can guarantee you we were certainly not doing. This can then go off to Birmingham servers as soon as I press upload on this thing. Once again, we've got a further week where senior people in a £5 billion local authority central to the country are hiding. This is after the competition last week was what's the most corrupt and dangerous local authority. The woman at the conference said it was Nottingham, but I can assure you Birmingham is top of the league in that regard. It is totally now irredeemable because of various entries, plots and takeovers of corporate communications, that kind of thing. The police, again, have behaved totally disgracefully and caused a security situation. But again, this is all caused by John Cotton and Chris Naylor. So it's a three-part strategy. Naylor goes along with the American strategy to encourage migration law. Cadman is just there as sort of a useless prop, and the hostility continues because we got the initial wave out, but it was never sorted out properly. The commissioners then go and speak to Cadman, and she leaves. But of course, who's the next guy? Oh right, it's meet the new boss, same as the old boss. But in this case, we were released from our homes. So because they couldn't hide behind pieces of plastic, someone like me could walk up to them, listen to what they say, and then just say, A, no, you're wrong, and B, you don't belong here, and B and C, get out of the city. Just get out of the city. We're not working for you. We're not going to. The condition of employment between myself and the employer was I will work in basically a secure unit, so a building with walls and security. We will do your enforcement work for you on the basis that we have suitable defences. You've not given me and my associates suitable defences, so we've taken them ourselves. You can come and get them if you want them. But if you want a compliance team who's capable of actually doing enforcement in that city, you'll need to radically upgrade our capabilities to the point where someone like me was happy. And again, I'm only happy at this point if I'm in Edinburgh with an FPV drone, and a rifle. Unless you can guarantee me that in Birmingham and a suitable squad to go in with police and ensure we have appropriate physical security, I'm going to be advising everyone in our department, including the women, by the way, to just back off. Don't go and do enforcement, particularly when the courts are as they are. So if a tribunal judge is saying, well, you've made a submission while homeless, I'm not going to take this seriously nor contact you, once again, we're getting out of the city, we're just evacuating. So if you can't take your entire family, your entire life, just vanish in the dead of night and just appear in another city totally fine, effectively, after a few months of endurable hardship, then as things deteriorate even further, this ain't going to get better without military force. You're probably getting in for a hard time. The current situation is the bloc vote is split between the Islamists, the morons, and the rest of the country looking at the polish from outside. Because we're better educated, we can observe it in a historic and strategic sense, and we're starting to realise that the only possible way to resolve it is surrounded by British military assets. So taking a city by force in the modern world is very, very dangerous and very, very unpleasant and very, very violent. Taking city warfare is historically a very, very difficult task. This is generally why you siege cities and just starve them out. You deplete them of resources. But in the modern world, it's actually not exactly difficult as a concept. You get a single artillery piece pointed at John Cotton's empire and say, well, this guy goes through a proper judicial process, or we move governance to a different building and just blow it up. So you need a single shell, it will tear the building apart, it's worth nothing anyway, effectively, it's destroyed the city, it's surrounded by ugly coloured rock shitholes, so anything will improve the place really. But that then is a prelude to more artillery just surrounding the entire city and saying, well, we're in charge now, because we always were, comply or we'll flatten the entire place. So this is our industrial capacity, we've got the ability to glass it if we want to, because it's ours. What we're going to do though is reassert authority, so if we say, well, I don't know, animal torture is banned, controversial practices like that in a British public body, then comply or head to the exits with a gun in your back, get out. We're not going to tolerate that as a civilised society. So we can now make these demands with actually some kind of force. The police are fucked off, so we need something. The army's in Estonia, so we've got to need something. But you could arrange a domestic security force fairly easily. The powers, of course, going to these conferences. Your average security dummy has got a drone and a rifle these days. It's not exactly hard. The Boy Scouts are still around. So it's fairly easy in terms of an island strategy. Your problem then is the French. And do you reckon this will cause a problem for the French, or do you reckon it will help them? So there's a question for the children to play along at home. You think out the inferences. You think, we succeed, it takes us 3 years to do it, and then you've got another 10 years. So what is it like 10 years after we win? Right? Is it better or worse? Just think the inferences for yourself, and you make your own decision. I'm not going to lead you the way it is. But what I suggest to you is Parvini is basically right. So just as a plant withers and dies and grows again, civilization sort of work like that. You expand outwards, explode, then things happen and you contract a bit. But as long as you're not finished off, you've got a good chance of coming back. And then in the current state of things, everyone's thinking, well, this is kind of a bit ropey even for the British. But if you think about the history of war, it is basically just the Finns versus the commies again. The state of the people they're sending up north are so low. You've got dysgenic bureaucrats who are just so afraid of the kind of weaponry. They're afraid of the concept of weaponry. That isn't sort of an improvised knife. They're not going to get anywhere near you. And when you're seriously engaging in, sort of legal terms, these people just behave badly with their laptops because you're demonstrating that there is no outside authority. So you've got an evidence chain into servers before going to the pod-based conference where people confirm this to be the truth. You've then got the prior evidence chain and post-evidence chain where you're saying, well, given that we've listened to all the speakers, what I need to do is spend 40-odd hours of my life listening to my senior and doing as I'm told and sitting down and doing a different part of my reading. But what my compatriots need to be doing is getting off their arse, finding Poochie and probably speaking to Edinburgh Law about getting access to that so we can reassert authority via a prosecutorial track. So you think about these things in terms of damages. Well, okay, you've got the pounds and pence damages for the medical stuff. But when you think about the damages to Korea, it's fairly obvious that we've been held back in many ways because of trying to run a badly functioning compliance department, wasting my time and energy on people who should have been arrested many years ago. So we just translate that into putting people in a box, effectively, which is what my late father would have wanted. And if we can do that with a potential death penalty as well, then again, the British can reassert control very, very easily. Many people, of course, just fled the country in a brain drain. So you say, well, we create a literal island. So, of course, there are many Christian holy sites around here. You're outside of Key One. This one's kind of on the ropes a bit, I've got to admit. But the west coast of Scotland is the sort of site that people will just die for. It's worth more than any of our individual lives. So you've got a sort of energetic backbone to you. You've got a physical backbone. You've got the information architecture backbone now of our satellites. And their aggressors are people like Rhodey, Naylor, Cotton. Come on, in any time of history, these people just lose when the guns come out. So if you can find some of the people we're looking for, please, as soon as possible, point them out to West Midlands Police, dysfunctional as they are, or anybody outside the badly malfunctioning postmodernist information warfare dome that currently is Birmingham.